expectations of the MPC decision coming out today, easing versus rates remaining unchanged. And of course, Nigerians awaiting the key game against Burkina Faso in the Africa Cup of Nations game that's going to take place today. But before we get into all of that and of course our markets, let's take a look at some news going on here. Now, as part of efforts to achieve a key developmental goals in Nigeria, the USAID has decided to work directly with the country's private sector as against the traditional method of working with the government. CNBC Africa's Onye Sunday caught up with USAID Ambassador Ravi Shah to get more on this.
USAID and the United States is implementing a new model of development partnership here in Africa, a model that focuses on partnership with the private sector, encouraging entrepreneurship, and bringing science, technology, and innovation to what is going to be what will become more so a vibrant and dynamic economy that the United States wants to partner closely with over the next several decades.
Does your present decision to work directly with the private sector mean the traditional method of working with the government wasn't very effective?
Well, we try to work in public-private partnerships, so we know that government is an absolutely crucial partner, especially in setting the rules, in setting the right policies, in avoiding and fighting graft and corruption so that things can happen successfully. But often it's the private sector that is the engine of change. And so yesterday we signed an agreement with the government and with private banks to offer loan guarantees so that we can get Nigerian banks lending to Nigerian entrepreneurs, specifically in the agriculture sector. And that's just one example of how USAID can partner using new tools and new technologies with private sector organizations like banks and entrepreneurs who have the opportunity to create change and fundamentally improve the development outcomes here in Nigeria.
Now, SMEs over time have complained about difficulty of accessing loans from local banks. Now, if you're going to be dealing with the local banks by giving them these loans to help power the private sector, is there a criteria for the businesses that will be allowed to access these loans?
Well, our partnership with the banks is about reaching SMEs. And it is true, it's absolutely true, that despite all of the local wealth locked up in African banks in general, and certainly this is true in Nigeria, banks have tended to not, go the extra mile to identify and support small and medium enterprises, entrepreneurs, people who want to grow larger businesses here. And until we start tapping that kind of local wealth and local savings for the purpose of creating more energy and activity in Nigeria's real economy, that's not going to get solved. So USAID we're going to try a number of different approaches. We've had some successes already where we've helped 6 Nigerian banks lend $34 million to hundreds of new SMEs and entrepreneurs. And we've learned from that. So now we're setting the target at $100 million, and we believe we'll be able to achieve that as well.
Now, Nigeria is an import-dependent economy, and you just mentioned developing the agricultural sector. Now, putting these two side by side, do you see a fast growth in the agricultural sector?
Well, a few years ago, President Obama launched a new effort that we call Feed the Future, that's designed to work in partnership with local private sector and public sector to reach farmers and help them improve their production. And Nigeria has seen some successes already in that effort. You have a dynamic agriculture transformation underway led by a dynamic minister. Companies here have committed more than $8 billion to invest in the private agricultural sector. That will reach hundreds of thousands of small-scale farmers with improved seeds and fertilizers so they can produce more food. And it'll be very important that there is policy consistency and transparency so the private sector can help partner with farmers to improve food production. There's no reason why Nigeria cannot be a breadbasket for itself and for the region, and in some commodities for the whole world.
Well, I see you're very positive about the partnership between the USAID and the private sector. But do you foresee challenges which might hinder the success of this project?
Well, I think the number one challenge is ensuring that the enabling environment is conducive to private sector growth and development. And that means the rules have to be consistent. It means the government and civil society has to work actively to fight corruption and graft. We support a large number of civil society organizations to do exactly that. And it means that policies have to be reformed and then consistent. They can't be changing all the time, so that private investors have confidence that they can continue to succeed. And I think if those conditions are put in place, and we are working with the government to try to have a dialogue and to put in place those types of conditions, then you can see development partners co-investing with private sector enterprises, and the results will be significant. You know, the results will be farmers producing more food, children getting better nutrition at lower cost. It'll be fewer children dying unnecessarily, and it'll be more kids going to school and aspiring to be the next generation of wealth creators. And ultimately, that's how we create the conditions where aid and assistance are really no longer even necessary.